Hi, everybody. It's Leanne.
And I'm Helaine,
Welcome to Step Into Next.
where we move together from what was to what's next.
I want to reach out and hold your hand there.
Okay.
Is this in life?
Wow. That was beautiful.
Hi, Shane.
Hi. I'm so sorry, but in that moment, there's some memes right now going around Instagram where it's like the friend that like loves physical touch and the friend that hates it. And when the friend that hates physical touch, like all of a sudden like gives the other one a hug and it's just like,
That is literally me and my best friend, Dale. She will out of the blue hug me and I just stand there like,
yeah, so this was weird.
it is weird. That was just me being kind of awkward.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'm not a real physical touch kind of person.
No. Well, thank you for that beautiful introduction to today's episode. I am pretty excited about this one, and you've been talking about this for a while, so we're finally here.
Okay, but really quick before we get into it, I just want to comment on our constantly evolving wardrobes.
Yes,
I love your
thank you.
leopard print. And you said something really nice to me. You said I look like a Christmas present.
I, as someone who doesn't traditionally celebrate Christmas, that feels like you are an ornament.
And I am. I'm ornamental. And I make people happy.
It's definitely a vibe.
I hope it's a good one for them.
And I'd like to give a shout out to your sister-in-law for the beautiful gift that is sparkling in my eye all day today. So
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you, Lindsay.
All right. So, okay, we're here to talk about, I am really excited about this episode too, because we are now 10 or so episodes into this whole podcast endeavor.
That feels much longer.
Somebody took her grumpy pills this morning. No, but we were so many episodes in and we've been getting a lot of emails, DMs and stuff because we've been evolving and reinventing kind of our approach to this, especially from our starting point. We originally were going to do a podcast about our book collaboration process and then kind of reinvented it in real time. A lot of people who don't know you or don't know me, but listen to the pod are really super interested in our origin stories, both of our own kind of in leading up to our business careers and how we are sitting here on this podcast.
Great. Where do you want to start?
Well, it was a cold winter day in February and my mom was 9 months pregnant. No, I'm saying because it's my birthday month.
It is.
So we could start.
Let's start with you.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Well, Leanne and I, obviously, I think we talked a little bit historically about how we ended up working together, which ultimately resulted in us writing my book, Making Waves, together in collaboration. But what I've always found so interesting about you is that you kind of threaded multiple industries in your career. And the way you got into fitness is just so insane. So can you tell us a little bit about, I want to know who Leanne was when you were 21 years old. And I want to start there. And then
I don't know if you want
I do, actually. I'd like to know a little bit. Paint us a picture of Leanne at 21.
Okay.
Where is she? How did she make her way to New York? And let's start there.
Love that. That's not where I was expecting to start.
I know.
21-year-old Leanne was really fun.
I bet.
She had just graduated Penn.
Yeah.
I was like, not sure I know what I'm going to do with my life, but did have a sense that I wanted to be a writer. My mom was like, the hell you are going to be a writer. You're going to get a real job and have health insurance and make a salary. I did that for one real job my entire life for about 6 months. I'm like, not for me. Got a job bartending. So I became a bartender and I was a hustling writer. Started getting published in all these magazines and newspapers.
You're doing articles.
Yeah.
You're writing articles.
Writing articles.
Okay. About what?
Like New York Times had me walk in a fashion show in deep Brooklyn modeling recycled rat fur. And I shit you not. It's called Nutria. I can't explain it. These little rodents in New Orleans are all over the place and they make fur coats out of them. So I was in a fashion show and I wrote about it. Things like that. I was there like woman about town. Yeah, but
okay, I don't really know where we go from there.
There's nowhere to go but down.
So you spent years as a writer in New York, as a true hustler, while you're also bartending.
Totally.
What was your favorite drink to make as a bartender?
Oh my God, I didn't make any drinks. I was the saleswoman chatting people up, and my business partner, my bartending partner, my business partner, Tracy was the good one at making drinks. I was good at sipping on drinks.
Yeah, you were schmoozing.
Yeah.
Schmoozing, sipping, schmoozing. Got it. Okay. And so I'm picturing Leanne. She's bartending. She's writing.
Yep.
How long were you doing that for? And then what And how in God's earth did you end up in fitness?
It's so wild. So I published a couple books of my own, a novel.
Oh, okay.
In a nonfiction
Novel
book. Yeah.
About what?
It's called The Perfect Manhattan, about a young woman in New York who's a bartender, comes from a working class family.
How did you get that idea?
I don't know. It's just been right there at the top of my head. But all that was great. But in around like 2008 and 9, when I was kind of getting started with all that, that's when the economy tanked a bit. So I was like, I got to think about, and writing is always, freelance writing, even book writing, it's always an up and down kind of thing. I mean, I always seem to choose up and down careers. Interesting. Maybe we should analyze that. But so I'm like, you know what? I love running. I love working out. Maybe I'll get certified as a personal trainer.
Okay, so you were always athletic?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was a lifelong athlete.
Okay.
Played basketball, ran track. I ran track in college.
Wow. That's a choice.
Did you literally not know that about me?
No, didn't.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I got certified as a personal trainer. Okay. This is the pivotal moment. Back in the day, there was a publication called Daily Candy.
Oh, yeah.
And for anyone out there who has never heard of that, it was the very first, this is before social media was big. It was a daily email.
Yeah.
With deals and news and just
it was entertaining. It was like the
super
Skim meets Morning Brew, but
yes,
also fun pop culture. It was great.
Totally. So I got friendly with the editor there. I was pitching her an article to write for Daily Candy. She got wind of the fact that I was a personal trainer. She goes, sure, you can write the article, but what's this about you being a personal trainer? I want to maybe write about you for Daily Candy. I was like,
why?
She just loved why not?
No, I'm more just like, you're not the first person to ever become a personal trainer. So why was she like, oh, how cool?
Well, I started a blog, like a philosophical blog about women, empowerment, and fitness.
Shocking. Wow.
I know. That's my it's my origin story, truly. My female empowerment origin story. She clicked and I put it in the signature of my email. You'd be so proud of me. I did it all myself.
I want to hold my hand again because I'm not ready. Okay.
And she read it. She's like, I just love how you think about this stuff. Cause I wasn't some I'm not a fitness guru. I wasn't some expert and all that. So she said, okay, I'm going to write about you, but you have to put me through a workout first. So I was like, great. We had a fun day together. She wrote about me, and Daily Candy used to come out at 4 a.m. on the day. I get up at 6 at a BlackBerry. Okay. And I had 1,500 emails from people reaching out to me to work with me as a trainer.
Wow. Yeah. What was it in the article that you think
she just
sparked?
Leanne is super fun and friendly, and she's not I wasn't just the standard musclehead. And probably it also didn't hurt that I had no idea what to charge. So I said I'd charge $40 an hour.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That went up quickly. But anyway, now fast forward, my soon-to-be business partners saw the article, found me that way. And in this podcast, we've talked a lot about surrender. We've talked a lot about doors opening and just going through the doors. Every single thing leading up to the launch of Uplift, my company, was that. I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I know nothing about business. And again, found 2 business partners in short order. We raised, I forget, 500,000, 750,000, something like that. We're able to sign a lease on a studio, open it. And I wanted to start this business, not, like I said, not because I was a fitness guru, but to empower women as a means to empowerment.
Yep.
And then fast forward from there, we're going to have to do many other podcasts about these things, because I know you and I could talk about this forever, but it was the highest of highs, the lowest of lows. I took over the company from my business partners. That was really hard.
After how many years did things start
pretty quickly, because they just, I was interested. I wanted to do.
What was their background? Why did they want to do this?
One was a corporate lawyer, so she was sort of the business side of things. One was, she had worked in a couple different areas, but she was sort of the money behind it. And she brought a lot of investors to the table, and just was interested in doing it. So we immediately had different visions. I wanted a place for women to come. I wanted something bigger, a female society where we did events, which once I took over, I turned it into that. And, I had to make the very tough decision in 2019 to shut down. And that's where our superhero story merges.
Yeah.
Because we had become friendly at that point, and I called you every other day crying like, Helaine, what do I do about this? What do I do about that? I just knew you would help me in a calm, measured way. Appreciate you to this day for that.
It was not those tears were merited. I'll leave it at that. It was pretty brutal. But then really good things happened. Talk about flow and all the things. So
here we are.
Wow, that daily candy, man. I have not thought about that in so long and did not know that was such a cornerstone of how you became who you are. Thank you, Daily Candy.
Totally. Thank you, Daily Candy. And Aaron, if you're out there somewhere, I love you. It is crazy. But I think really.
Wow, Aaron's really come into our lives as an AIM, huh?
Oh, we've got a lot of Aaron.
That was our book agent name.
Yeah.
I mean,
hi, Aaron.
jealous. Hey.
Hi, Aaron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny story.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
Well, and just flipping the script a little bit, I think what's so interesting, I was telling someone about your story. I know your story so intimately because we wrote your book together. And if you remember, I kind of forced you to excavate things before CityRow and really start to talk about.
It wasn't my idea.
I know, but I think, correct me if I'm wrong, it really did. Our past is always impacting our present.
100%.
And there's so many, I was telling someone, you have been a scrappy businesswoman your entire life. I have to ask you first, tell us a little bit about when you were an intern at Condé Nast, what you were like then. And let's start there because I have so many.
Great. Well, it's not much older than when I was 21, but I actually, when I was 21, I was probably interning at Condé Nast. So I was a Condé Nast summer intern and grateful that turned into a job because I graduated in 2008 and things were bleak.
Right.
But I was such a good intern. I just assumed that everyone was going to line up for me. I was fantastic at being an intern. You took it very seriously.
You were the boss of the interns as an intern.
Yeah, it was, I learned a lot because I definitely thought that I was God's gift to internship and I got slapped in the face. Yep. I got in a lot of trouble. Learned a lot of lessons and luckily, it took a little bit longer than I would have liked after college, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So it made sense to go back to the world that you interned in. And I didn't hate it. I thought it was interesting and it also had cachet. And so I landed at W Magazine.
Condé Nast was the shit.
It was the shit. Magazines were cool. My mom had worked in publishing. My mom's best friend was head of PR at Condé, which is ultimately how I got the positions. And it just made sense. There was just nowhere else for me to consider. So I did that for about a year and a half. Was an amazing assistant.
Yeah.
I actually heard from one of my bosses the other day, actually. And but there was misalignment in as soon as I realized what we were selling and why, I couldn't really get behind it. I couldn't believe that someone was paying $100,000 for a page in a magazine. I just couldn't get it because I was of the digital media world generation, new media. I had Facebook in college. I was like, why don't we offer a tweet from our editor in chief? That feels more valuable. And they were like, what are you talking about? So I was like, I got to get a new job and found my way to tech startups.
And what's funny about that? We've talked in a lot of episodes about when you can, just because you can do something really, really well, doesn't mean you want to or should.
Yeah.
And you got to pay attention to that, I think. So you did.
I did. And I would say getting the job at Buddy Media, which was through, so another one of our family friends, and this just I really think it's important to double down on how the world works. One of our family friends who also knew the head of PR worked at a different magazine in the art department. We would get lunch. We went to Michigan together. So we had a little bit of a foundation. And I was like, I think I got to go somewhere else. And she said, you should talk to my friend Sarah. She's at a tech company and they're hiring like crazy. That was the end of that. I aced the interview. I was so excited. I got I was making $28,000 a year. Then I was making $58,000 a year. I was like, wow, I'm rich. And that environment of working with other like-minded people in a fast-growing environment, I got to understand business. in my first job, I couldn't talk to clients, and now I was in charge of the clients. I felt so empowered, and I thrived on that. So Buddy Media was definitely the foundation of my career. I gained confidence. I fucking loved working, and I loved that there was like my appetite is pretty insatiable for work and doing things, and it was met there. That was the first time it was really met.
That says a lot.
Yeah, they got a lot out of me, I think, and I got a lot out of them. So
interesting observation. I came at business really, I look back, not that I ever have regrets about things, but I do actually, because I was never a person who's like, I'm not good at something. I'm like, I'm not the business person. I'm just not that interested.
you always say that.
Well, I used to say that. Now I'm like, no, I actually love it. I love working now when I work with clients, because I think I never took the time with Uplift to sit down and say, okay, let me look at all the books. Let me maybe understand a little bit. And I did over time, but like in the early days, I just didn't bother to understand our P&L, profit and loss statement. I didn't understand, I left it up to my business partner just to handle everything like payroll and all that stuff. And that was a disservice to me. That was especially a disservice to me when I closed the company. I realized, kind of what a mess everything was. But again, no regrets. And I think you are really interesting because you have always been that business person. And now you're coming with your book and with the podcast more on the creative side. Because I was always sort of like the communicator, the creative person, like the writer, and now I'm more into business. So I think that's a fun, like, merger moment for us in our careers.
For sure. And I think for me, that probably started, I did Buddy Media, that sold to Salesforce. I lasted 6 days at Salesforce, went to another tech company, was there for a year and a half, and then ultimately side hustled CityRow and left them to start CityRow. And it was being the founder of CityRow that was probably my first creative seat.
Well, of course, because it was also your very own.
It was. But that kind of forced me into the storytelling seat. I had never really been there before, and I was afraid, and I had impostor syndrome. Remember, I was a chubby kid growing up who started a gym, and then I had a back injury. So there was a lot of imposter syndrome. I was like, I don't think I should be the face of this business. I tried to make Annie the face.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because she was the fitness person, so cute and hot, and she just had the personality for it. But when I really confronted the brutal facts of what was resonating, people wanted to hear my story. And I'm grateful that I had Ashley and other people around me that helped me refine the messaging to get comfortable to be on camera, to tell the story, to go on podcasts. And I realized I really liked it.
Yeah. And, it's funny that you say that, because I had imposter syndrome too, because when we both started our companies, which were around the same times, it was like the rise of boutique fitness in New York City, right? And there were all of these founders, all of these gurus, they're women especially, that were like super fit, super perfect, like super, fit, in my opinion, fit for that role and for that presentation. And I never felt that way. I felt super awkward around it. And then I realized, I'm like, okay, I have a choice here. I can be myself and do what I want to do in this world and not try to fit into the box that these women are, rightfully or wrongfully fitting themselves into. And I can just enjoy it. So I think that was my very first, I wasn't fully surrendered, but my very first little taste of surrender. It's like, fuck it. I am who I am, and my company is what it is. It's not trying to be something else. So that was fun.
It's a long journey.
Yeah.
Speaking of long journeys, when I finally started CityRow, the whole 10-year journey there was, you can read it. You can read about it in a book.
It's making waves. Pick it up at your local, pick it up at bookshop.org. How about that? Yes. Your local audio.
Or anywhere you buy books or audio clips / books. Anyway, we've told that story a couple times, so I'm not going to belabor that one. But when CityRow ended, and it was a very long, stressful, not positive experience, but grateful that we had collaborated on the book towards the end of it. And it was a real collaboration. We were talking every day, every other day.
Yeah.
It was a huge project. So we got to know each other quite well.
Yeah.
Outside of working together at CityRow. And it was a real solace for me during the tough times with the book.
Me too.
And when CityRow ended, the book came out 3-4 months later.
That's right.
And it was very quick. And I talk about this more often than you think, because I actually had dinner with a founder last week who, man, when I hear his story, it makes mine look peaceful. His was somehow worse. And the depression that he fell into, he's a dad, he had a family, things were really bad. Bankruptcy, he was driving Uber. It was really bad. I am so grateful that I had the book to be that light and carry me through. And subconsciously, I knew that I needed that project to keep myself from the depression.
Yeah.
But I'm just so grateful that I had that moment to just like, okay, well, we're going to launch the book. Then we're going to talk about the book. We're going to do consulting. And it really was the thing that kept carrying me forward. And I think when people ask how we got here today, there was a little bit of, and we'll talk about this at the end, like when you're striving for something and you're working towards a goal, when the goal happens, it's bittersweet.
Oh, sure. I mean, if not, well, we'll save that whole big conversation for another time. But I think it can be, like you said, it can actually be almost depressing because you're like, wait, this is it, But I wonder if writing the book also, since looking back, God, it's so funny that it came out just a few months after CityRow shut down. I think it probably helped you. We are kind of writing it in real time when you were going through things. So it probably helped you process some of that too in a healthy way.
It did. And I loved that. And I was so grateful for it that, we started talking about, and listen, then for like a year, I would introduce myself and say, I spent a year building a company, went through all this stuff. And, oh yeah, and I wrote a book. They're like, you wrote a book? And I'd be like, yeah, I wrote a book, but the book was not hard to write. It was a project. It was a meeting on Friday, but it wasn't hard. And yes, we collaborated and it made it easier, but people were so fucking surprised that I had written a book. I was like, well, you should write a book too. It's not that hard. But there's this romance people have around book writing. And so you and I tried to talk about that for a while and think about, is there another book that we should write? Should we help other people write books? And people would reach out to me and I'll be like, you know what? Let's talk to Leanne. Right? People would constantly be like, you wrote a book? Tell me everything. And I'm like, yeah, but I also built a company for a decade. And that's what I want to be people to know me for.
But there's a similar, you have said that before. I do think people are also duly impressed anytime someone says, I have had my own company or I have my own company, because most people don't do any of the above. So,
but we were both shocked. I mean, I'm still shocked. People think that is such a cool thing.
Yeah.
But we were like, is there something here for us? And I think I'll speak for myself, but at this point, you're consulting, you're helping people write their own books. Some of my friends actually, and we would catch up every month, every 2 months, see what was going on. Maybe there was like a project with the book, maybe there wasn't. And I think we really wanted to figure out what should we do next together if we like collaborating?
And you said we should do a podcast.
Well, no, hold on a second.
Absolutely not.
No. You said we should do a course on how to write a book to boost your business profile. Yeah. You were like, let's do courses. And I don't like things that are that rigid. But you kept putting time on my calendar. And so I was like, what if it was a podcast instead? Because it had a lot of friends that were having success there. They seemed fun. And I didn't think I would need to work that hard.
Well, you've succeeded.
And hey, I read.
Just kidding. You did. You're doing great, Jen.
And so honestly, you talk about flow, and when things are in flow, the second we said podcast, everything just unfolded for us. And a friend introduced me to our friends Will and Alex here at Podhouse, and it flowed seamlessly from there. Now, what it started at versus what it is today, a little different.
It's evolving too. And I think that that's okay. And we kind of bringing it full circle, we talk about space in between, the liminal space. With that comes permission to change and grow. And I think that's what we're doing here too. I really do.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Now listen, the original podcast was,
oh my God.
You know what? We don't need to talk about it. But it was way more focused on books.
First of all, it was also way more focused on books, but also in the middle of episode 1, we said, no, this entire thing needs to change. And,
Totally.
we changed the entire
In real time.
real time.
And we talked about doing a podcast about the podcast making process, which I think we're going to need to spin up next time.
I'm
But
still trying to pitch you on doing just a podcast of all of our blooper reels, because I think that would be some real good content.
wow. Well, don't give me an opening to talk about your sweater again. But no, I'm very happy with where we are right now. And honestly, I'm grateful for the permission to allow it to continue to evolve.
Yeah. And so on that note, I'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.